Welcome back everyone, it's Charlie. This is going to be my video for the new Mandalorian Season 2 teaser for Ahsoka Tano as well as the spin-off series that she's getting. That's right, there is an Ahsoka Tano live-action spin-off series that they're developing. We'll break everything down, there's a bunch of new details and a bunch of new characters that we learned about that are coming to the Mandalorian Season 2. Not just Ahsoka Tano, there's a bunch of new characters. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. We're doing a Baby Yoda merch giveaway. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and leave all your theories about Season 2 on the video. So we'll just go down the list here, starting with the big stuff. Star Wars live-action Ahsoka series in development. News outlets are reporting that it could premiere as early as next year in 2021, but I don't think that's very realistic with all the virus delays. If we're talking about Marvel movies being shifted to next year and everybody else's movies either being put on video on demand or being delayed till next year, it just seems like what they're doing right now is probably figuring out what the story is going to be, and they won't start filming till either way later this year or possibly next year. The way they're talking about the series, it implies that she's just going to be in The Mandalorian Season 2 for that one season. I don't know how many episodes, but then she'll go off to her spin-off series. So it'll take place in present day. It'll be the same actress, which they've confirmed is Rosario Dawson. Rosario Dawson went on and on the past couple of years about wanting to be Ahsoka. She's been tweeting about it for a long time. It goes back years and years, and I'd actually kind of forgotten about it until she started talking about it again recently. She even blew up one of my own tweets about Ahsoka, and based on the suspicious timing of that, I'm assuming that she'd already been contacted by the Star Wars people about doing Mandalorian Season 2 episodes as live-action Ahsoka. But usually when they contract for big characters like that have spin-off potential, it's usually built into their contract. Like, if this goes well, we will try a spin-off, but that's no guarantee that it'll wind up happening. One of the things about The Mandalorian Season 2, though, is that Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni are running the show. He's the person that created the Ahsoka character with George Lucas. So of course, if they're talking about Ahsoka spin-off already, that means that her episodes probably went really well. I talked about Ashley Eckstein in my last big Ahsoka video. A lot of you were asking me if maybe she would do the voice for Ahsoka and Rosario Dawson would just do the physical on-screen performance. They did something like that for the Darth Maul character during the Solo movie because Ray Park is live-action Darth Maul from the prequels, but Sam Witwer has been doing the voice of Darth Maul in Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels. But as of me posting this video today, I haven't heard anything about her being involved in Season 2. But what's happening with Ahsoka during Season 2? Well, the actor who plays Moff Gideon, Giancarlo Esposito, said that he actually has a bunch of lightsaber fights with the Darksaber. So if he's having a lightsaber fight with someone, it probably means that he's fighting other rogue Jedi or former Jedi in the case of Ahsoka. Technically, Ahsoka left the Jedi Order, so she says that she is not a Jedi. Even when she has a rematch with Darth Maul during Star Wars Rebels, he says the Jedi don't kill people, and she says, "I am no Jedi." Right now, Ahsoka is only listed on IMDb for Season 2 Episode 1, but I think that's just preliminary. It might not be totally accurate. I'm assuming she'd be around for at least a couple episodes as part of the Baby Yoda arc, because that's his whole mission during Season 2. Find his people, the other Jedi, who can help care for him and train him in the Order. You may also be watching the Clone Wars Season 7 because Ahsoka just came back. She has a huge arc, but that's taking place way earlier in the timeline when she was younger. Right now, she's actually just run back into The Mandalorians, sort of connecting back to what's happening with the Mandalorian series in present day. So you have Bo-Katan Kryze and a lot of the Night Owl Mandalorians that are getting ready to take back Mandalore from Darth Maul. And if it wasn't clear, even though there's a lot of Darth Maul stuff happening during Star Wars Clone Wars, if you never watched Star Wars Rebels, that takes place right before Star Wars A New Hope, and that's when the final rematch between Darth Maul and Obi-Wan happens. So during the events of The Mandalorian, which takes place 5 years after Return of the Jedi, Darth Maul is already dead. So Darth Maul doesn't really figure in that much to what's going on in The Mandalorian, with a few exceptions. Because a lot of you were asking me about the armor and possible Easter eggs for the Darth Maul character. Now, we still don't know exactly who her character is. We don't know her real name. We only know her as the Armorer. She's the leader of their clan, so she wields a lot of authority over them, implying that she's a little bit older. But the connection that people were drawing to Darth Maul is the Mauldalorians, the Mandalorians that sided with Darth Maul when he took over the planet Mandalore. And what they did is they fashioned their helmets with those special horns to make them look like his head. The connection to Ahsoka in The Mandalorian Season 2 is that we got all this backstory about the Siege of Mandalore. That's what's happening in the final couple of episodes of the Clone Wars Season 7. There was a character that showed up next to Bo-Katan Kryze here that sounded exactly like the Armorer, so people are like, wait a minute, is this just a younger version of the Armorer's character? The reason why I don't think that's the case is because this character here on The Mandalorian Season 2 isn't that old. Maybe just a couple years older than the Mandalorian Din Djarin himself, and think about how old he was during the Clone Wars when a lot of this Clone Wars Season 7 stuff was happening. Then in the credits for the episode, this character was actually listed as Ursa Wren, Sabine Wren's mother, so clearly I don't think that this is the Armorer. I know a lot of people are also wondering if maybe Sabine Wren is the Armorer character. Even though I definitely think that they would try to do Sabine in live action at some point, they might save her for The Mandalorian Season 2 in some later episode or some future season. But because the last time we saw Ahsoka, she was going off with Sabine to find Ezra Bridger somewhere in the unknown regions, and we don't know what happened, and this is happening around the same time that the Mandalorian series is picking up, just a couple years after Return of the Jedi. I'm assuming that at some point during Ahsoka's episodes in The Mandalorian Season 2, they'll reference that. They'll reference the Sabine character, maybe reference Ezra Bridger, or friends that she's been trying to help. Then they'll deal more with that plot and those characters in the Ahsoka spin-off series. There's just so much story for her character because you don't really know much of what she was doing outside of this mission to find Ezra around this period in her life. I know everyone's wondering how Ahsoka is going to deal with the Baby Yoda character. A lot of people have been drawing their previews here. Pretty easy prediction to make that he's going to be fascinated by her and she'll have a deeper understanding of what's going on with him because she knew Master Yoda, so she knows about his species, but she can also connect with him through the Force. So I think of all things, I'm really just looking forward to their interactions together on screen, because even though he's innately incredibly powerful in the Force, he's still effectively a child. Even though at times it seems like he's a lot more intelligent than he lets on, because you look at him and you think tiny baby, but he's 50 years old, so he's probably lived long enough to absorb a lot more of the world and reality and understanding things. Everyone cue up the Baby Yoda Force training montage with Ahsoka. Just do a reverse version of Luke and Yoda on Dagobah. Next big thing, you may have also heard about The Mandalorian Season 2 casting Michael Biehn as a bounty hunter who has history with The Mandalorian. They're going full nostalgia. First they cast Carl Weathers as one of their bounty hunter guild leaders. Now they have Michael Biehn. So just think about every big 80s movie action star, sci-fi star you want to show up during Mandalorian and future seasons. They haven't said officially who his character is, what his name is, or what his background is, other than he's a bounty hunter that has history with the Mandalorian character, and this is official concept art of what his costume looks like. When I first heard that they cast him and that he was going to have history with the Mandalorian, my assumption was that they would make him one of the Death Watch Mandalorians from those flashbacks during the Clone Wars that helped save him and took him back to Mandalore to train him and induct him into the Order. The Death Watch Mandalorians are huge during the Clone Wars series. Bo-Katan Kryze was one of their members, so obviously they're trying to connect this to the Clone Wars Season 7 episodes in the Siege of Mandalore. What I'm hoping is that eventually, because Katie Sackhoff is the voice of Bo-Katan Kryze in the Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels, is that sometime in one of the live-action series, she'll also guest star as her character too. Because even during Star Wars Rebels, right before the events of Star Wars Episode 4, she's still a relatively young character, so she wouldn't be that old during the events of The Mandalorian. That way, they could also connect it back to what's going on with the Darksaber, because Sabine Wren gave Bo-Katan the Darksaber at the end of Star Wars Rebels. How did Moff Gideon get it from her in the couple of years that have gone by since then? I think early prediction, the assumption is that at some point during the great quote-unquote purge of Mandalorians, they call it the Great Purge, but it's basically where the Emperor pulled in Order 66 on the Mandalorian people. I'm also kind of hoping that we see some live-action Maul-Delorians come back in present day too, so hopefully they don't kill them all off during the end of Clone Wars Season 7. But everyone, let me know in the comments, what do you want them to do on the live-action Ahsoka series? Obviously, there's all this Star Wars Rebels story that they can pick up on, but it's just almost limitless possibilities. I'll name a new giveaway winner when they post new Star Wars. I know you're all wondering when they're going to drop new footage for The Mandalorian Season 2. I'm assuming that's going to be sometime this summer, but if they announce any details, of course I'll do a new video. Everyone, click here for all my Mandalorian episodes, and click here to learn about how Marvel just changed all of its Marvel Phase 4 movie schedule. Thank you so much for watching. Everyone stay safe. I'll see you guys tonight.